Hi, welcome to the session 6 of AutoCAD Essential for Civil Engineers. So, till yet we have learned about how to insert text and annotations in our drawing. In this session, we will be learning more about dimensions, how to use dimensions in the drawing, different types of dimension, what is the need of dimension, what is the fundamental terms in the dimensioning, and we'll be seeing what associative and annotative dimensioning is about, how the quick dimension is done, and various things about dimensions. And also we will discuss about tables after discussing the dimension. So first of all, we will see how the dimensions are done and what is dimensioning in civil drafting process. Now, the first thing that we need to understand about the need of dimensioning in a civil drafting, in a civil drawing. So let's take it like way. I have a project that is open in AutoCAD. Now you can see that in this particular project, there are various sections, details of doors, windows, and cabinets. So now you can see that most of the drawings are having dimensions. So dimension gives you an idea about how long, how depth would be a particular entity would be. So dimensions are very important, and different standards like ISO standards and international standards have different kind of techniques, and they talk about standardization of dimensioning when we do a dimensioning, either from civil engineering point of view or from the architecture point of view. Now let's see, let's understand about the different dimensionings that is to be done in AutoCAD. First of all, you need to understand where are the dimensions and different terms in dimensions that are used. So in the Home tab, you can find that there is a panel called Annotation Panel, and here we have the dimension. The moment we click on it, we find that there are various dimension options are there, like angular, baseline, continued, and other thing. Apart from that, there is basically in the Annotation Panel of the Home tab, you have the linear dimension, align dimension, angular dimension, arc dimension, radius dimension, and various other dimensions. So before learning the various types of dimension, let us understand about various terms in the dimension. For that, I again open up a drawing. Now here you can see in this drawing there are various details which are done. So here we have a dimension done which mentions 8 feet 0 inches, and there is another alternate unit 2438. So in AutoCAD you can have alternate dimension. For example, if you need to have two units shown, that is the imperial as well as the metric, in a single drawing, you can do that also. But at the same time, when we start dimensioning, there is only one, by default, only one unit is chosen, which is the primary unit that you can dimension into it. So we'll talk about how to set the dimensions when we start working in a drawing. So dimension is basically one of the process that is done during the documentation when we are going for a GFC or a construction documentation, or for design intent, to show that how the what would be the section depth, what would be the thickness, and other things. So dimension is very important from the point of view of documentation of a drawing. So dimensions are done after the design intent has been created. For example, you can see that there is a door panel which is done over here. So the moment we mention the dimension, now you can see that it says 2191, that is in millimeters, and 7 feet 2 1/4 inches, that is in the feet inches. So it says that the height of the door at the bottom of the frame is 7 feet 1.5 inches. So here you can see that there are various entities in the dimension. The first entity that we can see is this particular line. This line is called a dimension line, right? And then you have these two lines, this one here and the other. This is called the extension line. And above is the text. So there are three major entities over here in a dimension. So let's go to the PowerPoint again. Here you can see that dimension line, dimension text, arrowheads, extension line, leaders, center marks, center lines, alternate units, tolerances limit. These are the part of it. So let's see that what are the various types of dimension, like selecting dimension tool. So you can have linear dimensioning, diameter dimensioning, radius dimensioning, angular dimensioning, ordinate dimensioning, arc length dimensioning, align dimensioning, and chop dimensioning. So we can use all these tools to dimension a particular drawing. Coming back to AutoCAD. So we were talking about the dimension entities. So this is the extension line. These two are extension line, and this is the dimension line, and this is the text. So let's start one by one, understanding the different tools that can be used in dimension. For this, I open up a new drawing file and create a line. Now I have a straight line, and I have that is horizontal, and I have this inclined line. So there are commands also by which you can take the dimension. The one way that I said that you can choose the dimension tool is from the home tab and the annotation panel, and then we have this dimension drop down. So we have this linear dimension. So the command for the linear dimension is dim_lim. So a linear dimension is, you can create a linear dimension when you need horizontal or vertical dimension. For example, if you want to have the dimension in the x and y of this particular object, you can use the linear dimension. Or if you say that if you want to dimension the x and y of this inclined line, then you can have the linear dimension. The other way of using the dimension tool is from the annotate tab. So you have this annotate tab, and then there are a bunch of tools that you can use. And here also you find that there is like, for example, text is in the annotation. We have this text, but this panel is actually used for dimensioning. So you have this dimension over here, and there's a bunch of tools that we will discuss later on for the dimension. So let's see how the dimension can be done using these various options in the dimension panel over here. So here again you can see that this is the quick dimension command, and here we have this various kind of tools over here. So here we have this. If you click on this drop down over here in this panel, you have this linear, aligned, and angular, and arc length. So let's do it one by one. So I will prefer that you guys use the command panel to invoke the command. So linear dimension first. So we will be discussing about linear dimension. We will be discussing about aligned dimension. We will be discussing about angular dimension. We will be discussing about arc dimension, that is to measure the length or the angle of the arc. We'll be discussing about ordinate dimension, and then we'll be discussing about continued dimension, baseline dimension, and other. So the command for the linear dimension is dim_lim. So once you write this command, there is something that comes: specify first extension line origin. The first extension, I want to measure the x, I want to x displacement of this line from here to here. So I want to have the horizontal dimension for this inclined line. The first extension line would be this. So if I click on it, this shows that this is the first extension line, and the second extension line origin is this. So the moment I click both of them, then there is an option that comes: mtext, text, angle, horizontal, vertical. So if you want to have the vertical direction, that is in the y direction, say V, or click from here, so it will give you the vertical dimension. Similarly, if you want to have the horizontal dimension, so dim_lim, click on it, select it, the first point, the second point, and then say horizontal dimension. So you will be only having the horizontal dimension. Click anywhere here. So then again you go for a dim_lim. Let's say if you want to write some text over here, so you can choose mtext option, and then you can say, okay, I want to write along with the dimension, or I want to remove the dimension and write, okay, this is the horizontal, right? And then click on the screen, and then now this is basically the vertical, because you have chosen the vertical option. So if I want to choose the horizontal option, so it will be horizontal. So this is the horizontal option. If you want to write some another text, multi-line text over here, so again dim_lim. So first and the second point over here, and you can say the multi-line text, right? If you want to write something over here, again the multi-line text editor opens, and see in the bottom over here you can see the multi-line text editor. You can remove the space and you can write something over here. Let's say if I want to write something, if I want to edit this, so okay, let me do it again. So I have this dim_lim command. Let me erase this stuff from here. So I have this dim_lim over here, and then I say first point, I say second point, and I want to write some multi-line text. So I write, let's say linear. So here So you can see that with the dimension, if I want to keep it, so I write something linear dimension equal to enter. So now you can see that along with the dimension, the text is written by multi-line text. Similarly, you can use the text option also. Let's say, for example, if I say dimlin, and if I select both of the point, and then I can say text. So instead of the multi-line text editor, now it will only ask for a single line text. So for example, if I write horizontal distance, so I'm replacing the text, dimension text, with a text. So I write horizontal distance. This is the option for text and mtext. On the other hand, if you want to rotate the text, for example, if I write something dim linear and I select the first point and the second point, now you can see, friends, this is the text, the actual dimension between the 2 points. That is the horizontal or the vertical dimensions. So if you want to rotate the angle, right now it is in 0 degrees, so you can say angle. So now let's say angle of the dimension text, let's say I want to rotate it 90 degree. So the text is rotated in 90 degree. Or if you want to rotate it in 45 degree, so you have this first point and second point, and then you have said rotate angle, A for angle, and then not rotate, A for angle, and you see you give it 45 degree. So the text is rotated at 45 degree. So here we have the various options for writing down the text. Now let's have some other options. Let's say if I have this jot lines, the stepped one, and let's say if I have something the angular shape, angular line, and let's say if I want to dimension this. I'm doing a very rough kind of sketching right now in order to explain you regarding the. Now you want to take a linear dimension, because for my information point of view, if I want to convey it, I want to know the people who will be working on this plan, probably to know about what is the vertical and the horizontal distance. So here we have the extension, first extension line, second extension line. Then we can give it over here as, let's say, I can give it a value of in a particular angle, let's say at 90 degree. So right now, if I rotate it in 45 degree, so the angle will be rotated. I mean, it's a text angle option. So this is how you can change the angle also. Now let's say I take a quick look, dimlin. So this is first point, second point. If I want to specify myself, I don't want to use the horizontal or vertical, just click anywhere in the screen, the dimension will be displayed. So this is the horizontal and vertical dimension, the use of linear dimension. Another example, let's say if I have a, let's say this is how I want to dimension a chamfered wall. Let's say I have a chamfering over here. So chamfering, CHA, and I want to have the chamfer distance at, let's say, 0.1 and 1 and 1. So here I have, okay. Now I want to show that, let's say I have this wall thickness over here. So in my drawing, I want to show that how the chamfer is placed, so that the people can understand about how the chamfer can be done, the people who will be working into it. For this, I would be rather giving the dim linear, in which I would say this is the x direction and x distance, and this is the y distance. So this is how the linear dimension works. So linear dimension, again, to conclude, is when you want to dimension in horizontal or in vertical. So next we will be learning about the align dimensioning. Now you saw that in this previous illustration how the linear dimensioning was helping us to get the x and y dimensions for a particular line. If it is a straight line, then it is fine. But if that is an inclined line, then if you want to dimension it, so you give dimlin, and let's say for example I go for first line and second line, this is a horizontal line. But if I'm going for a inclined line, the linear dimension will either give the y value or the x value in this case. Then other thing that we can see while we are giving the dim-lim option is the select object. Now in this parenthesis, you have the select object option. So if you press enter, you can select the object which you want to do the dimensioning. For example, I want to select this line. So if I click on it, I can give the linear dimension quickly. So again, if I want to do select object, press enter and then select the object, then you can have the x or the y dimension. So this is a very quickest way by which you can do a linear dimension. For example, if I want to do a linear dimension of these two lines, so I go for dim-lim and then go for enter and then select the object. It will AutoCAD will automatically take the both the extremities and do the linear dimension as per the drawing. So this is the linear dimension. Now next, if I want the dimension which specifies the length and which specifies the dimension along the inclined line, or if it is a straight line, it is fine. But if I have inclined line, if I want to dimension along the line, not the horizontal or vertical, then I can use dim alley, that is a dim align. Or from here in the annotate panel, I can go with the dim alley. Other things, friends, I have not talked about is the menu bar. So if you are using the menu, you can have the dimension menu and then you can find all these dimensions over here. So I can go align dimension from here also. Align dimension, the method of doing align dimension is similar to that we do for the linear dimension. So here we specify the first extension line. For example, I specify the first extension line, the second extension line, and you can see the dimension goes along with the direction of the line. Now you can see this is the extension line. These two are extension line. There's a dimension line and the text is over here. So these are, again, I repeat, these are the different objects inside the dimension. Great. Now let's see the various options in the linear dimension. Then we will do certain things in an AutoCAD drawing, in a plan later on. So again, I have an inclined line and a straight line. So for a straight line, it doesn't matter if you're going with the linear dimension or with the align dimension, it is already fine. If you have a draft like this, and if you want to dimension it, then you have to go along with the if you're doing a dimension line within the inclined line, and if you want to give the length of that particular edge, then I would prefer that you go for dim alley, that is the align dimension. So again, with the command, if you want to go with the dim align, so if you say dim alley, there's a shortcut, that's an alias for align dimension. So first and second. The moment you put the second point, again it has three options. Remember, while we were doing the linear dimension, we had several options. So here only three options are limited over here: M text, text, and angle. So similarly, if you say M text, press M or select the M text option, you can write something like, say, for length or something text which is is relevant to the dimension. So if you want to remove the dimension, actual dimension, you can always remove it and say. So you can see that the arrows and the dimension lines are aligned with the inclined line, right? So similarly, you can have the text option. So if you say dim alley, so you can have the first extension line, second extension line, and you can give the text along with it. So if you want to enter something instead of 1, let's say if you want to get, say, height, so press height. So now it's going outside the dimension, outside the extension line, because there is no sufficient space to accommodate it. Great. Now, last thing in the dim alley is to, let's say, the angle. So if you have this line 1, and if you want to incline, if you want to rotate the text, so you can always do rotation, let's say, with the angle, and you say, I want to rotate it 90 degree. So this is how you can rotate it. Okay, one more thing. While we were doing the linear dimension, there was one option called rotated. Now see what happens. So you have this 2 extension line and 1 dimension line and a text. If you say rotated, it says specify angle of dimension line. So let's say if I give a value of 45 degree, what will happen? The dimension line along which the text is rotated at 45 degree. In some of the very critical part where we are doing some kind of assemblies or some kind of fabrication, these kinds of dimensions are required, but they are used very rarely. So rotated dimension is when inside a dimension, if you want to rotate the dimension, the rotated dimension will be the best way to do it. Now, does the value changes with the rotated dimension of the dimension? Let's see again. So you can select the object here and say rotated. So I go for a rotated dimension and then say it's a rotated option and say 45 degree. So the text remains the same, the value remains the same, only the dimension line will rotate in order to accommodate it over there. So this is the one of the very important option that we may use sometimes when we are supposed to rotate the dimension line, but this option is not available in the line dimension. Okay, so now we did the linear dimension, we did the aligned dimension. The difference between the linear dimension and the aligned dimension is the linear dimension is done in the horizontal and vertical directions, and the aligned dimension is done along horizontal, vertical, or along the line, the inclination of it. So next is basically if you are supposed to take the dimension of the angle between two lines. So let's say if I have a line, let's say this is a road line and there is a slope over here that I want of a line particular here. So I want to measure the angle between this edge and this horizontal line. So what I do, so again, go to the annotate tab over here, and then you have this dimension panel, and here you have this angular dimension. So the angular dimension is basically to measure the dimension between two lines, or dimension of the angle between two lines, or angle of the arc, or angle between 3 points. So we'll be seeing different cases along with this, the various options. So angular dimension. So it says select arc, circle, line, or specify vertex. That means you can select either line or an arc or a circle, or specify points for creating the angle. So if I select this line, and then it will ask you select the second line. So here we are, and then you can see that if you place inside it, again you have this option mtext, text, angle, and quadrant. So let's say if you want to put a text, angle, or you want to put it in a different quadrant, so you can always put it in a different quadrant. So place the angle where you intend to do. Again, if you want to do angle between these two lines, and if you want to place it over here, so you can have the exterior angle also. So let us do the dimension angle again and see for the line again, and let's understand the quadrant option. So if you have this dim ang is the command for angular dimension, so you put dim ang, and here in the dim ang you have this select the first line, it says, so this is the first line, and then the second line. Now say you have the option for quadrant. So if you say Q over here, and let's say you need to specify the quadrant now by clicking it. So you have this first quadrant, second quadrant, and then you have this. So now you have got three options to specify. So either you can have the angle over here or the angle at this particular quadrant. So you can specify it. So AutoCAD gives you a leverage of placing the dimensions at any quadrant. So it's showing that it is the angle that the exterior line is making with the edge is 168. So what is the need of it? Sometimes the slopes are preferred between different lines to be when we are measuring the slopes. Basically, we have to see how we are measuring it, whether we are measuring from the internal, whether we are measuring from the external edge. So it depends upon how the dimensions are required on the site to measure that angle. So it's very, very important as a civil engineer to understand the construction process and how the fabrication would be done and where the dimensions are required by the different stakeholders. For example, for the MEP, for the civil site, or for the any kind of people who are working on the site, depends upon how the angles are informed. So now let's go with the dimension for arcs. For example, I have an arc over here, and here let's say if I want to give the what are the things that I want to give. First thing is that I can give the length of the arc, so there's a different command for it. But if I want to give the angle that this arc is making with the center, the start, end and the center is the angle subtended by the start point, end point and the center, then we can give the angle as we can measure the angle by the use of dim ang over here, and you can select the arc over here. So now you can have, so you push it over here and you can measure and click it. So this is the angle that the arc makes, the start point and the end point makes with the center point. So the dim angle for arc is this. And then if you have a circle, now let's see, it's very interesting over here. So you go with let's say dim ang, that is the angular dimension, and you select a circle. Now the moment you select a circle, so it will say that what is the second point. So you can see that by default the first point has been selected in the circle, and this is the angle subtended by this point and the circle. So now you have this another option in the dim ang is the vertex. Now let's say if you have got 3 circles example, and let's say if I want to measure, so I put the object snap on over here with the center, right? So I want to measure the angle that this circle makes with these 2 circles at this particular center point. So here what I would do is I would go with dim ang, and there's an option called specify vertex. So press enter for the specify vertex. So the angle vertex is this center point, and then we have the first angle endpoint here and the second angle endpoint over here, and then you can either give the mtext, text, angle or quadrant and get the angle between the 3 points at the vertex. So this is another very important options when we are at doing surveying in civil. So there are certain subtended angle that we need to find out while surveying. Okay, what is the particular pole is making, the angle that the particular point at the site is making with the 2 fixed points. So in order to find out that particular point, the angular measurement, angular directions are very, very important. So let's go again. Let's quickly do about the circle and the vertex. So if you have the circle, if you want to do the angular dimension for the circle, so you have this dim ang, and then you press and select the circle over here. And again, the point is here, it talks about the second angle endpoint. It's not talking about the first angle endpoint. So let's say if you select this quadrant over here, let's say, and by default the first angle endpoint is taken by AutoCAD, and it talks about specified dimension, arc line, location. So this is the dimension, arc line, location. So you can click anywhere and the dimension is given. Now let's say if somebody wants to change the subtended angle between this quadrant and this quadrant or somewhere point over here, so you can always select the dimension, and you can see the grips are available. So these are extension line of the angular dimension, and there are 2 grips over here you can see, and then later on you can move the grip and push it to a point where you want, and you can see that the dimension is getting changed. So let's say here I go and you can see the dimension is changed, let's say 180 degree. So this is how you do the dim angular for circle, arc and line and vertex point. So let's say if I have got some point again, so I say these are the survey points, so I put the survey points, so I increase the size of the survey points. Let's say I give a style over here, and I invoke the nodes option over here. Now if I am interested to find out the angle that this point makes with these 2 points, then I would go with dim angle and press enter for specify vertex. Click on the angle, the point where you want to make the angle, and then the first angle endpoint and the second angle endpoint, and then you can have the angle. So we are done with the dim angle. Next is the arc length, radius and diameter. Now the next is the about how we can use the dimension techniques to find out length of the arc. For example, if you have an arc and let's say if you want to measure what is the length of this arc, then in that case you can give the option called dim arc.